Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Vivid Earth. How's everyone doing? I just came back from a little midweek adventure, which is rare, but it was very good. So I haven't really been online for a few days, but I hope you caught my interview with James Rink. Francine O, my colleague in New York, was there as well, and it was a wonderful discussion. I think a lot of people are not familiar with that world at all, the world of super soldiers, secret space programs, and all of the things that a lot of these people had to go through. So I hope you will continue to educate yourself on the subjects of our world that is relevant for our world. Many of the subjects that are sometimes uncomfortable or, people don't want to delve into, but it's important to know what's going on in the world. Anyway, I missed you guys. Before I forget, if you are based in Johannesburg, South Africa, you are invited to join our New Earth Collective gathering in Joburg on the 2nd of May. So please go and check out my website if you are. We'd love to have you there. Vividearth.org, O-R-G, one word, vividearth.org. Go and check it out. Just scroll down. It would be one of the latest blog posts. We'll tell you all about what that event is about. And I'm going to be inviting a few interesting people to uh, introduce to you as well with very interesting stories in Johannesburg. It's all about now coming together as a community, co-creating this beautiful new earth. While the world is burning, we are building a new one. So, if you're in this community, that there's no fear in my message. We know that the old world is collapsing, and we're okay with that because we want a new world. We want a new world that is kinder, more compassionate, more peaceful, harmonious, more loving. And, without all this destruction to our planet and our animals and our people. And, a new era awaits, a golden age awaits, but it depends on us to build it, to co-create it. And that's why you've got to limit your time on Intel and World News, even if it doesn't bring you fear, because um, it is important to know that where your energy goes, energy flows. So, that's why you can't consume too much negative news, too much, all of these things, because you're just going to see more and more of that around you. So you have to focus enough time on helping to co-create this new world, because it is up to us. We are the creator beings. We are the ones that create, not the cabal. They can't create. That's why they manipulate us to create a dystopian world for them. I keep talking about it, but it's true. People just don't believe it. People don't believe they are powerful. People don't believe they have the power to create. And we have to start getting used to that idea, because pretty soon in this new earth, it's going to be up to us to create things, and we're going to have to realize what our true history is, what our true purpose is, why we came here. Right? We came to Earth with a mission, and part of that is to create a new world. And that's exactly what we're doing. So don't ever forget how powerful you are, because at the end of the day, it's up to us that are awake and aware of our own consciousness and divinity to build this new Earth. So what's been happening in the world of Intel, guys? We've had the 2nd of April Liberation Day. It's come and gone. Maybe some people are disappointed. They expected more. They expected big fireworks. But believe me, this is the beginning of big fireworks, because all these tariffs that Trump slammed onto all of these countries, people are perplexed. They don't know what's going on. And people think he's lost his mind. I'm talking about the sleepers here. They truly think he has lost his mind, and the world is going to be burning and it's going to be terrible. But if you look at, sometimes you have to endure some short-term pain for long-term gain, right? If you've ever gone to the gym, you know that. To change the status quo in the world at large, it's not easy. So you've got to make some sacrifices, and this is part of that process, of re-equalizing the different countries around the world. In my opinion, it's also a precursor for that currency reset, because you've got to, like, you know balance the scales, so to speak. So in the short term, a lot of people will feel it. But how else do you change an entire world's financial system, the economic system, all the fraud and corruption that's been subjected onto us, the markets people had that have, insider trading, all of these things are a real thing. And how do you fix that? Well, there's no easy way, unfortunately. So we are seeing a little bit of a crash in slow motion of the markets. I know here in South Africa, I can see the rand, our own currency, taking a huge tumble, which is not good for some. But you know what? We've got to have the 44,000-foot view in this case, and we've got to understand where this is all going. And you've got to just buckle up, get comfortable, because this is going to be one hell of a ride. So, you know, with these things, as usual, I always take a wait and see approach. I don't let anything upset me. I just keep an even keel because I know what the bigger picture is here. So, but yeah, a lot of countries are like, whoa, like Vietnam got a 46% tariff slapped on it. And then I think not even 24 hours later or whatever it was, they dropped all tariffs, against South Africa. So already big changes have begun. You've got Alberta in Canada that now said they want to actually become part of the US. Now, this is going to be quite bad for the rest of Canada, which is interesting because Alberta houses 80% of Canada's oil and 70% of its natural gas reserves. It represents 12% of the total GDP and is geographically situated between British Columbia and the rest of the settled part of the country. Northwest Territories, just to the north of Alberta, would likely join the US as well, completely splitting the country in two. In any event, they can't Canada can't really survive without the US. So the whole schism and the what's going on between US and Canada is not going to end well for them, that's for sure. And losing Alberta could mean a complete economic collapse for Canada, very, very likely. Total energy dependence on foreign petroleum and a logistical nightmare for transportation. So, doesn't look so good at this point, but the bigger picture is, you know, President Trump is here actually to liberate Canada. Many, of course, can't see that. Others are too corrupt to endorse it because they're actually benefiting from what's going on in Canada. But if you think about Canada still being under the British thumb, then how else are you going to do this? What else is happening with Greenland right now? Very, very interesting. Not just because, Trump is a greedy bastard or whatever these leftists are saying. He's liberating them from Denmark. They don't want to be part of Denmark. But B, getting Greenland under that control, and it's not about the US, the bigger picture is really territories around the world and not countries. So a lot of countries will join forces and become territories, and then you're looking at the Seven Kingdom strategy that a lot of people in the Intel community have been talking about for a long time. Also to do with Jasara and Nasara, you need kind of territorial division and support. But if, essentially for the short term now, if Greenland becomes part of the US, then the US has more access to Antarctica and the Arctic as a whole. I have heard that they want Space Force, the Space Force headquarters, to be situated in Antarctica, which is very interesting. There's still a lot of hidden information about Antarctica, what's really going on there. And I think it's not a one sentence answer. There is multiple uses for Antarctica at the moment, and it's not a simple conversation. And there's a lot going on there that we don't know that we'll be, unpacking in the weeks and months ahead. But definitely, it's a very interesting place with, global treaty of no, you know, aircraft allowed in the airspace at all over Antarctica. Like, what does that tell you? Personally, I believe it's a portal of sorts, apart from all of the other things that are happening there. So that's how people travel between sort of different dimensions or planets, if you will. And then, of course, what's happening beyond the ice wall is just monumentous because that's a whole new world, a part of our Earth that we haven't discovered. So Earth is actually 5 times the size that we've been told it is. And that's why a lot of people think or believe in flat Earth, because that part where we stay is flat. If you look at that, well, maybe I wouldn't say it's a globe, but if you were to think it's a globe, if it's 5 times bigger than what we're told, then that part on which we actually situated is actually flat, right? But I don't believe it's either, actually. And I think it's very convoluted. And I believe we will only fully understand or understand that once our consciousness catches up. Once we perhaps move fully into 5D, perhaps we'll get, fully understand or understand it then. But I think there's a lot of indicators that it's something else, maybe a toroidal field of sorts. It's not matter and particle as we understand it, because actually that doesn't exist, right? When does a wave become a particle, and all these things, and matter and 3D objects, if you will, as we know it, is not what we think it is. So there's going to be so many discoveries in the years to come. We've got to get ready for a completely different perspective and a reset of our understanding of how things work, because this 3D reality that we're living in right now is actually the illusion. The real reality and existence out there is very different from what we perceive it in this very lower dense dimension and density that we're in. But Earth's density is rising like literally by the day, and we already apparently in fourth density. So it's not going to take much to get us up a notch, and everything will change. The way we see the world will change. And those people that laugh at us, well, they might just have egg on their face, right? It's always what I say. Just be careful what you say. Don't be so arrogant. Don't be so fixed in your understanding of how things work, because you might just have egg on your face. Just calm down, wait it out. The truth will be told. You don't always need to be right. It's okay, because, in any event, the meek will inherit the earth. And I fully believe that. Sorry, I had to close the door quickly. So yeah, the meek shall inherit the earth. And that means, what you need to do, your most important task, is choosing the highest timeline in every moment, because that's how you create the future. So I keep telling you guys, and I will continue telling it until we all just realize that's how things work. If you want to change things, change your thoughts, change your emotions, change your beliefs, change your actions, and voila, it'll start changing. So whatever you say every day, oh, I can't do this, or I'm suffering, I'm unhappy, I'm lonely, you're just going to get more of that. So you better start reprogramming your brain. It's like training a puppy. I'm sure most of you, yeah, have potty trained a puppy, right? How do you do that? You can do the same with your brain, I promise. So anyway, in other news, regulators claim that the Elon Musk platform was violating the EU Digital Services Act, and are reported to want to make an example of X to deter other social media platforms, according to multiple sources who spoke with the New York Times. As if all the other social media platforms are not already there, like hello, except for Telegram and Rumble, maybe. Officials are building a case that X's hands-off approach to policing user-generated content has made it a hub of illegal hate speech, disinformation, and other material that is viewed as undercutting democracy, of course, a danger to their democracy. Yes, we know that. Across the 27-nation bloc, they want censorship, total control of the narrative in order to keep deceiving the public. But people are waking up, and this is also designed to wake them up. And then Ursula von der Leyen, somebody shared a very accurate portrait of her with a little Hitler moustache, and yeah, kind of a mix up between her and him. And it's pretty accurate. So, guys, a lot of action this week. Nasdaq, the Nasdaq 100 officially entered bear market territory. Cambodia decided to cut their tariffs on the US imports to 5%, down from 35%. So somebody is acting very quickly. Many countries are actually acting very quickly. Um, and then also in terms of cryptocurrency, things are moving. Paul Atkins, Trump's nominee, was endorsed by the Senate committee to head the SEC, replacing Gary uh, Gensler. Sorry, this guy's got a tricky surname. The committee voted 13 in favor, 11 against. Now it's on to the final vote in the Senate. Atkins is seen as crypto friendly. He'll replace the retiring Gary Gensler and will likely finally roll back the old regulation by lawsuit policy. And of course, Senator Elizabeth Warren has already criticized the appointment, calling it a gift to crypto fraudsters. Well, I'm sure she's top of the list. And also mentioned Musk and Sam Bankman-Fried. Of course, when that is convenient, that's what you'll do. But back to tariffs, Vietnam, as I said, slashed tariffs to zero after the US's 46% duty on Vietnam, because they'll pretty much be dead in the water if they don't. So they know what's good for them. And Trump was saying he had a very productive call with To Lam, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam, who told him that Vietnam wants to cut their tariffs down to zero if they are able to make an agreement with the US. He said, I thanked him on behalf of our country and said, I look forward to a meeting in the near future. You'll notice that there's a lot of activity around Vietnam, Iraq, and all these countries that are set to start the global currency reset, or shall I rather say, when the global currency revaluations start happening, they will sort of lead the pack. So maybe there's a reason that there's so much focus on them. And then also in other market news, retail investors bought 4.7 billion in stocks yesterday, the most in a decade. That's interesting. And the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer seeks a new trade deal with the United States to remove tariffs. They're all buckling. And then there was a Washington Post article that had people in stitches because it said inside President Trump's whirlwind decision to blow up global trade. And apparently an insider said he's at the peak of just not giving an F anymore, said a White House official with knowledge of Trump's thinking. Bad news stories, doesn't give a F. He's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to do what he promised and do on the campaign trail. Yeah, because there's no winning with the mainstream media anyway. It doesn't matter what you do. They will always, badmouth you. And then in other breaking news, which actually Donald Trump has shared, Klaus Schwab says he's stepping down as chairman of the World Economic Forum. Bye bye, Schwab. See you soon, maybe not. Off to Gitmo he goes. Continuing with financial news, the world's 500 richest people lose $500 billion in largest two-day drop ever recorded by Bloomberg Billionaires Index. And as I said, the rand seems to be collapsing. It's 21 to the euro right now. 21 rand for 1 euro. Yeah, that's what we have to be dealing with. So people can have some understanding as to what's been going on. It's actually not the highest it's ever been, interestingly enough. But the SEC declares fully reserved liquid dollar-backed crypto stablecoins are not securities. So that's good news. And the Chinese government rejected a deal to sell TikTok apparently to the United States after President Trump imposed new tariffs. There's a lot of posturing and back and forth going on, but yeah, we know that one's going to go. Germany considers withdrawing 1,200 tons worth of gold from a US Federal Reserve vault following new tariffs. So a lot of stuff going on in the world, guys. We're going to see a very slow, controlled demolition of the whole financial system, the stock market, and hopefully um, it will happen quickly and as pain-free as possible. So, yeah, what else can we say? The swamp is being drained as we speak, and that is one of the main reasons why Trump is kind of purposely crashing the market. All the insider trading, all of the illegal, fraudulent transactions and benefits from, you know, you know what? So there's only one good way to expose insider stock and trade information. Bust stocks that the bureaucrats created with backdoor funnels. Yep. So this seems to be the most important news at the moment. What else is happening? Yeah, back to us being powerful creative beings. I love this little meme that was shared. Just like how Instagram has its own algorithm and shows you more of what you're interested in, the entire universe also has an algorithm and shows you more of what you are thinking, feeling, and focusing on. So that is truly, I hope people will really start getting this. We are the creators of our world, of our reality, and of the future, more importantly. Because the future is made now, in every moment. It's not made tomorrow. The future is made in every moment. So every decision that you make in every moment affects your future and our collective future. That's how important a role you have in the whole process. Yeah. In other news, very interesting, breaking news, a Democrat billionaire donor is working closely with Doge to uncover massive proof of a $13 to $15 billion human trafficking services payout to the cartel with taxpayer dollars. Um, this guy said, we looked at voter rolls in 4 states and we found thousands of these people being non-citizens, that is, on the voter rolls, and we found many of these people have voted. In one state in particular, well over 1,000 voted. And so, yeah, as suspected, this is a move to import voters, this immigration thing, as we know. What else? So many people are so many interesting things. I try to just skim over it and not get too involved in it. But I think this update by Professor William Liebenberg regarding Jassara Nassara was very interesting. He was saying, with regards to the Jassara law, you've got to clean up the muck, okay, and you've got to get rid of corruption and crime, and you've got to ensure there's going to be peace worldwide. If not, it ain't going to fly. So the cleanup of the swamp is progressing. In the past few months, Elon Musk posted about farm murders in South Africa and that have reached hundreds of millions of people on X around the world. And those people never knew it even existed. So it is important. So thank you to Elon for using your platform to highlight this heartbreaking situation. The world is finally paying attention. South Africa, April 4th, the day people are rising up against the corrupt government. Apparently, there was a national shutdown planned for yesterday with the slogan, Cyril must fall. So they're already looking at replacing him, finally. But I don't know if there was an uprising. I didn't hear of any, that there could have been up north. I hope there was. There's apparently a Defend South Africa movement organizing a march to the Union buildings in Pretoria yesterday, starting at 10 a.m. It was all about Defend South Africa. And the threats was including the claim that key figures are holding secret meetings to push for an interim president with names like Malema, God forbid, Mbeki, God forbid, and Motsepe, reportedly available for the new role. Well, I hope neither of those three, because they are biggest buddies of Ramaphosa. Motsepe even being his brother-in-law. Like, hello. Mbeki, I thought, was the better of the bunch, but he's also pretty much in the pocket of the crown. And of course, he has a little drug problem, which can be used against him. Um, so he said the message warns that any actions contrary to the people will govern, which is our birthright, policy, will not be tolerated with severe consequences if demands are not met. So people are starting to stand up, and it threatens widespread unrest, including disruptions at airports, ports, transport services, and even violence towards non complying taxis, with claims that they are controlled by the so called Stellenbosch Mafia. No surprise there. If these demands are not adhered to, the message states that the country would face total destruction, with further escalation planned for April 7th if the April 4th actions do not yield satisfactory results. So we might be in for a rocky couple of weeks. Buckle up, South Africans. Ramaphosa is a deeply compromised person who will only lead our country to further decline, suffering, and instability. We demand his immediate resignation and call for new leadership to restore hope, economic stability, and effective governance. And this is how you remove the cabal from South Africa. Now, it's not going to be a simple task, it's not going to be easy, but the beginning of change is here. And that's what we need to focus on. The South African people are exhausted um, from a pathetic, incompetent government. If pro-communist globalist controlled Cyril does not resign, anyway, I'm not going to read this part, but anyway, they will burn South Africa to the ground. Riots in SA is unlike anything in the world. All rationale gets deleted once they start their war dances. Yeah, it's pretty chaotic. They don't really comply to kind of rules. Um, and the ANC moves forward to destroy South Africa's private security industry. New legislation from the police minister seeks to further restrict security firms, limiting access to handcuffs, tasers, firearms in churches, malls, and other public spaces. For me, this must be part of the movie, because without the private security firms in this country, it's going to be chaos, because the police is useless. Useless. Most of them, anyway. There are some good people there, but for the most part, oh my goodness, it is a disaster. And this person said the same criminal, illegitimate regime that crippled SAPS, which is our police services, is now determined to disarm those who uphold the law. This is part of a larger, more sinister agenda. Or are they just going to piss people off? I think the latter is a real possibility. And there's, many of you know, the whites only town called Orania in South Africa. They now want Trump's help to become an independent state. Now, a lot of people, I mean, this poor town has been badmouthed so badly that we're even too embarrassed to talk about it. But the truth is, they function completely independently, very well so. And it isn't just whites in that town, to be quite honest, but the focus is on the Afrikaner culture, because they want people who have the same outlook and the same culture together, almost like the Amish. And now they want to become independent. And could that be the start of splitting up the country into independent regions? Because South Africa, think about that as a name for a country. Most people don't even think it's a country, they think it's a region. Because we are made up out of different colonies and provinces. It was never a country until the fraudsters came along and wanted to kind of take hold of, the Federal Reserve founders and all of those happy clappy Rothschilds and Rockefellers et al. They wanted to capture the region, so they created kind of a country out of it, a republic in a way. So I think, going back to the whole Seven Kingdoms strategy that we've heard rumors of, uh, it would be great if, states and provinces can become independent again. And that's what we'll see in the US as well. People will govern themselves on a local level without the overreach of a federal government. that don't know what's going on in their region. So there'll be a lot less decision making coming from the heads or the government of the country. I believe governments will be going away as well, but it'll take some time before that happens. So before a new governing system is implemented, which I believe will be more regional. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all of this and focus on that too much, but just to say, yeah, we are seeing some action here on our own shores, and that is only a good thing. Somebody shared this with me, which is quite funny. Our President Ramaphosa said, we must praise the ANC for what they delivered since 94. So much, because they've been in charge since then. And somebody said, well, the list is endless. The Rand dollar went from 365 to 1840, and it's more now since 94. Literally, the exchange used to be 3 Rand 65 for $1. Petrol price went from 2 Rand 65 per litre to 24 Rand per litre since 94. Is the economic growth down from 4.5% in the then Rand dollar terms to 0.3% in the now Rand dollar terms. They've lost ISCO, Transnet, Spoornet, Portnet, Post Office, SABC, SAA, Eskom, basically all these, from our own airline to power supplier, train services. I mean, all of these, what do you call them? Sorry, the word has just left my brain. All of these state-created corporations, shall we say, to service the people of the country. They've all gone bankrupt and they're defunct. They've lost 44,000 kilometers of roads since 94. They've increased our crime levels to exceed both Mexico and Colombia on the mean index since 94. They've built 400,000 houses for the Black population group, whilst our population has actually increased from 35 million to 65 million since 94. 400,000, whoop, whoop, in 30 years. Are you kidding? They've gotten 1.2 million of small business closed since 94. They've caused 1.4 million taxpayers to immigrate since 94, 400,000 of whom contributed over 15% to the total personal income tax of SA. They've run 22 cities into the ground since 94. They've created 480 new municipalities and run them all into the ground since 94. They've managed to pollute all our major rivers since 94 to the extent that the entire ecosystem is dead. Look at the Henops River. I don't quite have such a negative outlook because it depends on what you focus on, but it is pretty bad. So their record is finally showing its colors, and it's not actually the ANC as we know. This is the globalists hiding behind the ANC, because since 94, it has been captured, owned, and directed by its European puppet masters. But these ANC politicians, the ones that are in power positions, are corrupt enough to say, yes, thank you, I'll take the euros and I'll do as you say. And those are the people that have betrayed the people of this country, and they will pay for it. They are going down, and the meek shall inherit the earth. These people won't be able to walk the streets anymore, and they will have nothing, and they will not be happy, as our favorite Klaus Schwab always says. And more than likely, many of them will sit in Gitmo. Yeah. So hang tight, guys. Changes on the horizon. It's going to take a little bit while longer, and use this time wisely to start co-creating the new earth and the new country and the new communities on your local level that you want to see, because it's up to us. So whatever small contribution you can make, do it, because that's how change happens. It happens at a grassroots level. That's where real change begins. So don't say that there's nothing that you can do, or that you don't have the power, or that you don't have the money, or whatever. Start on a small scale and make the changes that you can under your control. So that's my recommendation. I'm going to call it a day now. I will catch up with you guys very soon again. And I think I've got some interesting interviews coming this week. So just check who they are, but I'll let you guys know. And yeah, so that's it from me. A little intel update and inspiration for the week, or for the weekend ahead. Um, don't forget, if you are interested to transform your energy and your life, we have a transformational retreat happening in Cape Town, in the beautiful little town of Stanford. It's on an organic farm and it's just exquisite. We have the whole farm for ourselves, a guest farm, and it's going to be gorgeous. And we're going to do a lot of Qigong to move. You're going to learn how to work with energy, move the energy in your body and your personal field. A lot of meditation, reflection. That's where transformation begins. A lot of wisdom teachings from the ancient Tao philosophies and much more. So I'll be there to lead the retreat, and my husband will be doing the healing and the ancient wisdom teachings and the Qigong. He's a Qigong master and a doctor of Chinese medicine. So it's going to be pretty transformational. So I hope some of you will join us. It's a 3-night retreat. And it's a beautiful little town about 2 hours out of Cape Town. So wherever you are, we'd love to have you there. So reach out to me at Anina at vividearth.org, or check out my website. There's a blog post, one of the recent blog posts, you can read about it, vividearth.org, and hope to see a few of you there. We only have a few more spaces left. It's meant to be a small sort of intimate retreat, no more than about 12 people. So, but we have about 3 or 4 spaces left. So if you do want to join, please let us know. Let me know. If you need on more information, happy to chat. So what else? Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so we can get the truth out there and spread truth, wisdom, and inspiration like wildfire. And make sure that you're also on our Telegram channel. That's where the daily news and updates are shared. Invaluable if you want to stay abreast of global developments in this, beautiful process that's happening around the globe of removing the cabal and building a new earth. So you can find it all there on Telegram on a daily basis. All the links are below, so you can just click on the links by going into the show notes. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you very soon. I'm sending you all lots and lots of love.